Hello and welcome to another episode of My Backstage Pass. This is your host Lee Zimmerman, and I'm here with my producer, co-host, and good buddy Billy Hubbard. And today we are most excited to have Mr. Paul Kelly joining us. Paul, how are you?
Yeah. I'm very good, thanks, guys. How you going?
We're doing fine. You're half a world away, but you sound like you're next door. Yeah, modern technology.
Amazing. How do they do that?
I don't know. I don't know how they do that. Technology baffles me, but
traveling at the speed of light.
Yeah, there we go. So, Paul, first off, congratulations on your new album, Fever Longing Still, which, as always, as with every one of the albums that you have done throughout your career, it's a wonderful album full of just really tuneful melodies and just a very affecting set overall. So, it's wonderful to have a new Paul Kelly album out in the world, as always. But can you explain to us kind of the meaning behind the title, Fever Longing Still?
It's a phrase lifted from Shakespeare's sonnet 147. And the opening lines are, "My love is as a fever longing still for that which longer nurseth the disease." So it's a poem about obsessive love, or love as a kind of sickness. It's quite a dark poem, but it has dark and light in it. But I thought the darkness and the lightness of the poem is also reflected in the rest of the album. So I thought it worked well as a title. I just also like the way the words roll, Fever Longing Still.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was really the main reason, sort of just intuition.
Well, your connection with Shakespeare is really nothing new, because in 2014, you put out an album of Shakespeare sonnets, which an interesting move. I mean, I don't know many pop musicians, for lack of a better word, that have ventured into those realms, and a very interesting album. I mean, everything you do has really got interesting aspects to them. One of the things... Well, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was going to say, well, Shakespeare's been there from the start for me. I discovered him at school when we did the play Macbeth, and it had a big effect on me. I found that play sort of completely mesmerising and thrilling. So I'd say he's my favourite writer. He's always been with me, and he's sort of lots of some of his phrases and language sort of sneaks into my songs. Has done over the years. Yeah, and like you said, it did culminate in doing a whole record of his sonnets in 2016. So I'm not the only one. Rufus Wainwright did it too. In fact, we both had the same idea.
There you go. Okay.
We both had the same idea to put out a record of Shakespeare sonnets on the 400th anniversary of his death.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, Rufus. But I think we ended up having a chat at some stage about it. But it's nice to know that someone else is sort of thinking along those lines too.
Well, I would suspect that if Will Shakespeare was still with us, he'd be mighty proud. He'd be mighty proud, because let's face it, Shakespeare, to a lot of people, it's like studious stuff that you learn in a classroom, and it's like, oh, I don't understand the language. But being able to bring those words to life, I think, does a service to all of us, and so, it's very admirable, very admirable. But
I mean, in his day, it's very sort of rough and tumble. There was nothing precious about what he was doing. He was just writing plays in the heat of battle with his fellow actors, and he was an actor himself. And, we should treat him that way. He's fun. I mean, he mixes up everything. Mixes up tragedy, comedy,
right?
Which is sort of been a bit of a byword for me too. I like mixing up the serious and the comic.
Well, I would say that you've done that so successfully, because certain songs about certain songs like From Little Things, Big Things Grow and How to Make Gravy, um, really delve into some subject matter that's not only intriguing, but just really powerful in their own way. And you have a history of making those kind of emphatic statements, which I think distinguishes you from a lot of other folks that we've heard over the years. You know, it's really a cool thing. Really a cool thing. You know.
Well, I love language, and I love fresh language, and I love language that paints a picture. So that sort of is my natural bent to write songs that you can see as well as hear.
Right, exactly. And you've been doing this for a little while now, I think since the early 80s, but you're so remarkably prolific and you're consistent in what you do, and yet nothing ever repeats. Nothing, you don't have to fall back on a formula. So I guess there is a question in that, believe it or not. But I guess it's how do you initially find your muse? How do these ideas come to you? You know.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's partly me. It's also partly the people that I work with. I'm a wide listener to music. I like all kinds of music, and so it's sort of it seems natural for me to write sort of all kinds of songs. I'm limited as a musician, you know, so I'm not someone who would play in someone else's band, but I can sort of get at an idea for how I think a song should sound.
Mm-hmm.
But when I take it to the band, it's when it really transforms. And I think that's probably one of the features of this latest record is that the part the band's played in it. They've taken every song and made it its own little world. So when we make a record, we're not trying to be sort of coherent or consistent or sort of try and get this overall sound. We just treat each song separately and then trust that that's going to make, you know, a beautiful mosaic or, you know, a series of contrasts and comparisons that make the record richer.
So when you introduce a song to the band, to your fellow musicians, how is it a seamless transition, or how does that happen? I mean, does it take a little bit of working here, working there, or?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, some songs come out really quickly, and some songs come out the way I imagine they would sound when I wrote them. And
mm-hmm.
Other songs just take a completely different turn. And yeah, some songs take a lot of pushing and pulling. All Those Smiling Faces is a song on the record that was probably the one that took the longest. We did a couple of different versions. It took a while to get it right. But I really like that part of making records too, when you're sort of hunting something down and you know you've got something good, but you haven't quite got there yet. So that for me is the fun part of making records.
Right. Well, again, as I said before, you're so remarkably prolific. And I think I own every one of your albums in my collection because you are one of my favorites, including the box sets, you know, Paul, from A to Z and so forth and so on.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but again, what a wonderful compendium of your music. You know, it's just a wonderful thing. And I know that you've achieved such distinction worldwide, but particularly in your native Australia, where you received the Order of Australia in 2017, which was, I guess, denoting distinguished service to arts and music and that sort of thing. What an honor! What an honor that must have been.
Yeah, that's an honor. It's not something you seek, but when it comes your way, you know, definitely appreciate it, and very happy to be part of it. I'm in good company. There's many fine people who have that honor, and they're not, you know, it's an award that goes to people doing things in all spheres of life. It's not just musicians or artists. It's people in all walks of life, community service and science and everything. Yeah.
But when musicians and artists are recognized, I think that elevates things because, let's face it, people look at science and they look at exploration, but, art and music, those are gifts that ought to be recognized. And when they are, it's a wonderful thing that kind of thing takes place. So,
yeah.
And
yeah, I think music. I mean, obviously, I think music's a really, really important. It's a great connector of people across cultures and countries and within countries. It connects the old and the young.
Yep.
It connects people who might have different views about things, but music can bring them together.
Another wonderful album. I mean, every one of them, in my opinion, every album that you've done is brilliant. And I'm not just saying that. I'm truly a fan. But, I think it's worth pointing out your album called Nature, which you set to poems. The music was set to poems by Sylvia Plath and Walt Whitman and Dylan Thomas. I mean, again, you're bringing a literary style to the fore, which, it goes above and beyond what we sometimes expect from, popular artists. It's meaningfully ingrained,
Yeah, that was sort of all started accidentally. I've been writing songs for 30 years, and I was asked to take part in this concert where to put some poems to music, and I never thought I could do that. No, I put poems to music by some of my favourite poets, and then realised, I can do this. This is another way of writing songs. I mean, when you've been writing songs for 30 years or more, and you find a new way to write songs, it's really exciting because I think all writers have their own habits, and it's very hard to sort of break them. So for me, it was a gift that I realised I can put poems to music, and to be able to have a beautiful set of words, or a set of words that I really like to start with. It's like that's over half the battle done for writing a song, because writing words is the hardest part of writing songs. So yeah, this just happened more over the last 10 years. I started with those Shakespeare sonnets, and then just every now and then when I like a poem, I think, I wonder if I can put music to this. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's led to me sort of poetry. In the case of Nature, I think about half the songs in that record were poems by other people. But it also bleeds into the way I write songs as well, where I'll use lines from other poets or other songs. I mean, I've always sort of done that anyway. It's coming up through folk music where phrases and words and titles and melodies sort of move on from performer to performer and change and mutate. So I've always been had that kind of philosophy to writing songs, that there are things out there that you can take or adapt. It's not like you have to sort of just write all your own words.
Right. They have meaning. Inherent meaning. Paul, you've achieved such a stature worldwide, and such acclaim, and the critics have just rightfully lauded you with all kinds of praise, and I ask a lot of artists this though. When you've achieved that level of success and that kind of praise, is it almost daunting to you when you're getting ready to start a new project? Do you think to yourself, well, they loved me before for this and they said this about that? Is that at all intimidating, that you have to match up to yourself, which of course you do, but at the outset,
It's not really on my mind, and I don't really get praise across the board. I get sort of some great reviews, some not so great reviews.
I can't imagine the latter.
Not everyone, and also not everyone, not everyone likes my kind of music. It's like the world is full of different tastes, and people, it's not. I don't feel like I don't feel that kind of sort of wide success that you talk about. So it doesn't feel like that to me. Probably more the things that motivate me are more within. So I'm a writer. I don't sort of make records or perform unless I have songs. So it all starts with writing a song. And
right.
that's the sort of something you do by yourself with no thought of other people in mind. Just trying to get words and melody to fit in a way that feels good. That's so that's sort of, and I can't really do that unless I shut out everything. To write songs, I need to sort of just be on my own, not answer the phone, not answer the door. A lot of time, doing nothing, or trying to write, just playing my instrument, guitar or piano, and seeing if I can make something happen. A lot of the time, nothing happens. Most of songwriting is just nothing happening until something takes you by surprise. Something comes at you sideways. So that's really what's sort of on my mind, writing songs, and the rest of it really is very, very distant.
Well, it seems that inevitably, though, what you do produce, what does come of that time spent, is very worthy. I mean, because we only hear the final results, and those results, are a marvel. So the time spent seems to be well worth it, sir. It seems to be well worth it, I would say. And speaking of which, I know Billy has a song queued up from the new album, Fever Longing Still. Billy, what song are we going to play here?
Yeah, we're going to play All Those Smiling Faces.
All Those Smiling Faces. What the world needs now, actually, is all those smiling faces.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
that's a good just before you play, that's a good example of sometimes how I work. There's some lines in that song from a Californian poet, Dana Gioia, who wrote a beautiful poem called Finding a Box of Family Letters. And I used a couple of his lines in the song. I used enough that I knew it wasn't just like, folk borrowing or something. I had to go and get permission. So I got in touch with him, got permission, made a deal. He's got a songwriting credit. And then when I was recently in LA, he was there, and we arranged to meet up. He took me out to the oldest Mexican restaurant in LA, because he's Mexican and had heritage.
Excellent.
And so we started, it's the beginning of a friendship. So it's a really happy story for me, the way this song has had its twists and turns.
Excellent. Well, let's hear some of that, Billy. And then we'll come back and talk it up a bit after that.
Yeah, here we go.
I've been talking to the dead with this photo album here in my bed. Picnic parties long ago, some are strangers, many I know. All those smiling faces. Now here's a wedding, there's the bride, and my handsome dad smiling by her side. Just out of the frame, I guess a band is playing, and I wonder what words to him she's saying. from the right. Young Uncle Jim who got called up to fight. Beside him make his fiancée. Pretty Meg waited for a never come day. Ooh, get on the floor and dance, you don't have forever. Ooh, get out there and dance, soon we'll all be together. There's Auntie Jean and her two beaux. The one behind her is the one she chose. Coming out of the water, they're all dripping wet. All the jilted wonder, the know it yet. All those smiling faces. Down the years, the family face keeps it jumping around from place to place. A look, a shape, a nose, and eye. That everlasting thing that's never gonna die. Ooh, get on the floor and dance, you don't have forever. Ooh, get out there and dance, soon we'll all be together. We'll all be together. All those smiling faces. All those smiling faces. All those smiling faces. All those
Wow. What a great song.
Yeah, that was cool.
What a great song.
Yeah.
When you listen to one of your songs in its finished form like that, does it kind of take you back to the process and what evolved from the earliest designs to that finished product? Does that enter your mind at all?
That one in particular does, because it took a lot of working. So we had some writing it, and then we recorded one version that wasn't quite working, and then we tried it again. It's all about trying to get we ended up sort of editing it to make it work.
I would just ask you this, Paul. You know, Australia is obviously an island unto itself, but there have been so many wonderful artists that have emerged there. You know, Crowded House, of course, but bands like the Black Sorrow and Midnight Oil, and of course the Finn Brothers. You know, who've done their outside work, and yet, you know, you're so far from the so-called music capitals of the world, like L.A. and Nashville and Austin, et cetera, et cetera. Is there a distancing at all? I mean, is it a challenge to kind of, you know, reach the international attention, having been from Australia? Or do you think there's automatically been a breakthrough and Australia has finally gotten the respect it deserves? That's a long-winded question.
You know, I think it's much easier, you know, to get music heard all over the world these days. You know, touring, but you're right, touring is a challenge. It's the travel. It's a long way to get there.
Sure.
Of course, and it's expensive, and so you know, I've toured the US quite a bit, but mostly I do it in a sort of cut down format. I've done a lot of tours as a duo with my nephew Dan. We do occasional band tours, but probably not as many as we would like. But yeah, we'll be over next year doing some shows. So it's all very doable. No problem at all.
Great. Well, we're glad it's doable, and we're glad you're with us, Paul Kelly. And thank you so much for your time. A world away, still starting your day. We're ending ours, but it all seems to have worked out.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Billy.
Thanks a lot, guys. Good to chat.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Billy's gonna sign
yeah.
us
Big
off.
thanks, Paul Kelly. We'll put your link in our show notes. And folks, like, share, and subscribe to My Backstage Pass on your favorite platform, and we'll see y'all next time. Happy trails.
Happy trails.
Happy trails.
Thank you.
Yeah.